Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here, and welcome to the last of the viewers' picks battle of the debuts. Well, it's not debuts, it's just a month ago or so I asked subscribers, come up with some albums you want to go head to head. And this is the last one. We've had some really interesting ones, and thank you very much for everyone that takes part and votes. So the last one we're doing in this round of viewers pick, because it's been quite popular. We will do another one probably at Christmas, leading up to the Christmas week. So we've got something special lined up for that. So today we have got a live album one, two great bands, one that I've seen, one I've sort of seen in different forms and guises, and it's Kiss and Thin Lizzy, and the albums we're going to look at are Alive and Live and Dangerous. So as usual, it's the band that released first comes up, and that is Kiss. Not much we don't have to tell you about Kiss. They've been around since 1973. They are currently on their farewell tour. The classic lineup, of course, is Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. At the moment they've got Tommy Thayer in on guitar and Eric Singer on drums. They have Eric Carr, the late great Eric Carr. Vinnie Vincent's been on guitar as well. Bruce Kulick. They've had some good musicians. So the live album is actually their debut live album. So this is a proper debut. This is Kiss Alive, and it is considered to be their breakthrough and landmark for live albums. It was released 10th of September 1975, and it's a double album containing live versions from the first three albums: Kiss, Hotter Than Hell and Dress to Kill. It was recorded at concerts in Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, New Jersey between the May the 16th and July the 23rd 1975. The actual name of it, Alive, pays homage to, of course, Slade Alive, which were heavily influenced Kiss. So on here, of course, we've got Paul Stanley on vocals and rhythm guitar, Mr. Gene Simmons vocals and bass, Peter Criss on drums and vocals, Ace Frehley on lead guitar and backing vocals. An additional personnel is J.R. Smallin, who does the speaking at the beginning of the concert, of course. So this opens up a track off the Kiss album. It's Deuce. I think this is the defining version of this song. I just love it. I wouldn't say Gene's the best singer in the world, but he does give it 100%. I do like that track. I'll prefer it live. Then we get Strutter, another track from Kiss. Again, it just sounds so much better live. It's got some bit more grit to it. Really good. Got to Choose. This is from Hotter of Hell, of course. I actually prefer Ace's guitar solo on this than the studio version. Then we get Hotter Than Hell, title track of Hotter Than Hell. Again, very solid track. Got a lot more guts to it. Firehouse and Kiss. It's alright. I've never really been a fan of this song, but given the choice, it's a really good live version. Then we get Nothing to Lose from the Kiss album. It's okay. I wouldn't call this a classic, but it sounds alright. Come On and Love Me, certainly better than the studio version, which is Dress to Kill. Parasite, one of my favourite songs off Hotter Than Hell, and this is the definitive version for me. She, another song from Dressed to Kill. It's a little bit longer than the studio album. It's got a great guitar solo from Ace Frehley, and it's worthy of an extra 2 or 3 minutes, I think. It really is good. Then we get Watchin You, the best version of this song from Hotter Than Hell, definitive. Then we have the one blip on this album, 100,000 Years. It goes on for 12 minutes. I don't want to hear long drum solos from Peter Criss. He was a reasonable drummer, but it doesn't justify this. And then you get Paul just saying, "What do you want to hear?" And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And to be quite honest, I normally skip this after the song's gone because it just bores me. Unfortunately, that'll shock a lot of people, but it just goes on too long. Black Diamond off the debut album sounds a lot better. It's got a richer sound. And you come to the last side 4. Side 4 starts off with Rock Bottom from Dressed to Kill. Absolutely brilliant. Much better. Cold Gin, probably the best version of this song ever. They've played it on other live albums, but this is absolutely killer track. Then we have a Rock and Roll All Night. I don't think the drum mix sounds right on this one. It sounds rather tinny. Don't know what they did there. And the last track is Let Me Go Rock and Roll. Again, much better. Got the atmosphere. It's a great closing track. As I think with most people, I believe this is a definitive live album of them early years. Expect 100,000 Years, which is way too long. That's my only criticism on here, and that sometimes the drum mix from Peter Criss is a little bit shallow. It's a great live album. I do love it, and I do play it a lot. If I want to listen to some of that early Kiss, this is what I listen to, because as I say, these are the definitive versions of these songs. Now, what did the old critics think? So, Alive has received negative and mixed reviews from the critics. Alan Neaster of Rolling Stone judged that the band's music to be awful, criminally repetitive and thoroughly monotonous and mildly entertaining for about 10 minutes, remarking how Casablanca promoted Kiss as a new bad boy teen idols. Here we go. Robert Christo from Village Voice manifested bemused of curiosity for an album that stated that while many considered the album to be either a de facto or a sludge, he and the multi-million kids who are buying it don't fall into either category. Modern reviews have generally been highly positive. Greg Prato of AllMusic considered Alive to be Kiss's greatest live ever album. I totally agree. It is. The new Rolling Stone album guy said the album was called a non-stop Kiss Greg of 2-note guitar riffs and motifs, fake sounding audience noise, inspirational chit chat, but also the next best thing to be in there. Yeah, something. So let's have a look at the scores on the doors. AllMusic did give it a 4.5 out of 5. Byender gave it 5 out of 5. Christian's Record Guide gave it a B-. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal, don't know why, because they're not a heavy metal band, 10 out of 10. Encyclopedia of Popular Music gave it a 3. Pitchfork gave it a 10 out of 10. And the Rolling Stone Album Guide gave it a 4 out of 5. Let's see how it did in the charts then. Well, it got to number 9 on the US Billboard. Only got to number 49 here in the UK. Number 18 and 20. So it did quite good business. Certifications: gold in America, Canada, and Australia. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality, great songs. Probably, as I said, it was people say definitely the defined versions of these songs. So I'm going to have to give that a 5 out of 5 because they are great songs. Production. Now this is where it lets it down a bit. The trouble with it that some of the drum mixes are not right, and I think because when you do record at multi venues, the sound difference in the halls are different. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. Reception. Fans liked it. Some of the critics didn't like it when it came out, but as time got on, people have warmed to it better, and I do think it is probably the best Kiss album myself. So I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Cover design. It's a great cover. It does what it says on the tin. Great picture of the band in their early years. You can't say that it's a bad cover, because it isn't. So I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. So for Kiss Alive, give us a grand total of 17 out of 20. So let's move on to Thin Lizzy, an Irish rock band, of course, formed in Dublin in 1969 by Phil Lynott and Brian Downey. They have had a huge amount of great guitarists come through this band. Scott Gorham, Brian Robinson, Gary Moore, Snowy White, John Sykes. Absolutely phenomenal band. One of my favourite bands as well. Loads of albums. 12 albums in fact. So again, this was their first live album. It was called Live and Dangerous, and it was released in 1978, and it was recorded in London in 1976 and Philadelphia and Toronto in 1977. And it was actually the last Thin Lizzy album to feature Brian Robinson at all. Not been a good week for album covers. They keep falling off. Never mind. So who plays on this great album? Phil Lynott, of course, on lead vocals and bass. Scott Gorham, lead guitar and backing vocals. Brian Robinson, lead guitar and backing vocals. Brian Downey on drums and percussion. Additional musicians on here. We have John Earl on saxophone on Dancing in the Moonlight. And Huey Lewis as bluesy Huey Lewis on Baby Drives Me Crazy. So this opens up with Jailbreak, a great opening track. That's a great track. It sounds great live. I love it when the police sirens. I mean, I've seen Black Star Riders do this, and there's a great tribute band called Limehouse Lizzy. It's just an amazing track. All the effects and the lights, brilliant track to open up a show with. Brilliant. And then when you think I think what they're going to do next, they do Emerald, one of the great tracks off Jailbreak. The guitar work from Brian and Scott is top draw. Brian's drumming is fantastic. I just love that. So next comes Southbound. Now the live version is far much better than the studio, I think. I think this is a terrific version, and I love Phil's vocal on this. Then we have that little sort of medley thing. You start off with Bob Seger's Rosalie. I prefer the Thin Lizzy's version of Rosalie. And then we have the Cowgirl song, which is a lovely song. I love that song. Then the next one from side 2 is the brilliant Dancing in the Moonlight. She's Caught Me in the Spotlight. One of my favourite songs by Thin Lizzy. It's just got a great bass line from Phil. It's just a great track. And then you got John Hill doing the saxophone solo on it. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get the classic Massacre. Absolutely killer. Great version of this. Great guitar work from both Brian and Scott. Phil's on fire. Brilliant. And then we get one of my favourite ballads from Thin Lizzy, Still in Love with You. It's majestic on here. The live version is just far better than the studio. Then we get Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed. Brian Downey's drumming on this is just mind-blowing. Best version of this song. Then we get the Cowboy Song, which has got so much atmosphere on this. And atmospheric, really good. Then we get the Boys in Back in Town. Now, probably the most played track, but I think this is the definitive version of this song. It is fantastic live. Then another of my favourites, Don't Believe a Word. I love how the boys are back in town and don't believe the word, just going to each other brilliantly. Absolutely killer. Great guitar solo from Scott and Brian, and again Phil Lynott is absolutely thing. Then we get Warriors. That's one of my favourite bass lines Phil ever did. Oh, once you get stuck into it, it's a great track. Then we get Are You Ready? It's a track that never appeared on an album. It was a single, but boys, is the best version of it. Brilliant. Side 4, Suicide, another killer track, a classic. Brilliant stuff. And then we get the brilliant sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, as Phil says it. Brian's drumming in this is absolutely brilliant. You get the great riffs and interplay between Brian and Scott. What more do you need? Then we get Baby Drives Me Crazy. Now this is the best version of this. Get Huey Lewis coming on the track. The crowd are involved, going baby. Great track. That would have been a great concert to be at. And then of course it ends up with the rocker. Now I think this is the best version of this. Okay, you get the version on the other live album when you get every man and beast that's been in Thin Lizzy, but for some reason this is the best version of it. Always will be. It's just got so much energy and crisp. Brilliant. In my opinion, this is one of the best live albums of the 70s. Probably one of the best live albums ever. The production is brilliant. You can't tell that it's taken from a mixture of shows. Absolutely fantastic. This is when the band were at their peak for me. I love this album and I play it so much. And now there's a remix of it and it sounds even better. So that's what I think of it. What do the critics think? Well, Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic described the album as one of the best double live LPs of the 70s. A true live classic containing more energy and power than the original studio albums. He also praised the expert song selection. Stuart Braille, in his review for Classic Rock magazine, praised the quality of the music and played down the rumours of studio overdubbing. NME Tim Chester declared Live and Dangerous the best live album we ever heard, despite the alleged overdubs, which he dismissed as irrelevant. Martin Popoff praised Live and Dangerous for supercharging some of the old guitar bass tunes that were a little stiff or dated or underdressed on studio vinyl, and compared it with UFO Strangers in the Night as his favourite live album. Kerrang said it was number 50 among the greatest. I hate it when they call it heavy metal because it's not. So let's have a look. This are the reviews. You got AllMusic gave it a 4 out of 5. Classic Rock gave it a 10 out of 10. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal 9 out of 10. How did it do in the charts? Number 2 here in the UK, number 84 in America. The Americans really didn't get them for some reason. And then when it was re-released in 2023 in the remix, didn't do too bad. Certifications, platinum here in the UK. And then when they did come out on DVD, it was gold and in Ireland gold. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. Contains some of the greatest songs that Thin Lizzy ever recorded. So that's definitely a 5 out of 5. Production. As I've said, you don't know which show this is recorded from because the continuity is there. It flows like the same concert, which is a feat in itself. So I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. Reception. Okay, it did well in the UK, got platinum and gold, but didn't sell. The Americans just didn't take to this, and I just don't understand it. Just a great band. So I'm going to give Reception a 4 out of 5. Cover design, a great picture of Phil. Absolutely killer picture. It defines Phil Lynott, that picture. So I'm going to give that a 5 out of 5. So for Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy gives us a total of 19 out of 20. So the points say that it's a win for Thin Lizzy. And in all honesty, as much as I love Kiss, it's a win for Thin Lizzy because I think they are an incredible band. Live and Dangerous is just one of the best live albums you'll ever hear. Okay, the Kiss album has got the definitive versions of them songs, but this is just, it's great production. They are great songs. They pick some great songs. And I am, to be quite honest, I am a bigger Thin Lizzy fan than Kiss. And I think Thin Lizzy would be, when I do this ranking at Christmas, I think that Thin Lizzy will be a lot higher than Kiss. But you may disagree with me, so you'll know how to do it. You put it in the comments below, or you can vote on the community poll, or tonight in the live stream. But talking of Kiss and Thin Lizzy, are any of their albums good enough to put in the Battle Royale? If you think you want to put a Kiss or a Thin Lizzy album in the mix, you know how to do it. You put your nominee on the bottom of the video on this lovely bright thumbnail, and we'll add it to the list. Okay, that's the last of the viewers' picks. Really enjoyed this, and as I said at the top of the show, we will do another one around about Christmas. And today is also Pick and Mix, and it's a wander down the sidewalk where we look at the US chart today from 1994. Yeah, we do this random wheel spin now. That's how 1994 come up. So this will be interesting. So join me for that later, and don't forget tonight live stream at 8 PM. Bye for now.